Okay, what is your name, sir?
My name is Rashard Jackson.
And when is your birthday?
February 15, 1979.
Okay, and what is your current address?
I live at 610 10th Street, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay. And the only other person attending the interview is me. I'm Carlton Cartwright, CEO, founder, and executive director for the Children's Coalition Incorporated. And that's where we're at. We're at TCCI at 907 North Dixie Highway in West Palm Beach. Did you serve in any wars?
No, I didn't. I did not serve in any wars.
And what branch of the service were you in?
I was in the U.S. Army.
Okay. All right. What was your rank?
My rank was E4 Specialist.
Mm-hmm. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Where were you living at the time?
Before I enlisted,
Mm-hmm.
I lived here in West Palm Beach. I had just graduated high school.
Where?
Palm Beach Lakes High School.
Okay. All right. Okay. You know, why did you join?
I joined the military for security.
Okay. All right. Why did you pick the service branch you joined?
Well, my dad was in the Air Force. He had been in the Air Force. I grew up as an Air Force brat. My brother was in the Air Force. My mom's twin brother was Air Force. So it was a collective family members of Air Force servicemen, but not many Army. I wanted to go against the grain and be different. So I went and chose Army to saw more opportunity, more of myself, the aggressive nature of a soldier, just being outdoors. That's me. That's what I saw myself as doing.
Okay. Do you recall your first days in service?
Yeah, the first day I was looking at a camera just similar to this on top of a roof. We had been brought up from the gym into I guess a courtyard area to our barracks.
Right.
And all these drill sergeants just came out of these doors from like different angles, yelling, screaming, get down, do push-ups, do sit-ups. You know, they were just really giving it to us our first day. I remember looking up top, seeing this guy with this camera, just taking pictures of us. I guess to have as a momentum at the end of the year, this is what your first day was like, and it just really just rocked me that first day.
Right.
I remember that.
Where did you go into the service? Where?
I went in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
So you flew from here to Kentucky?
I flew from here to Detroit. I missed my flight while I was in Detroit. It was my first flight from Miami. It was my first flight ever, and when I got to Detroit, I couldn't hear a thing. I had to go get some Tylenol, aspirin, because I just couldn't hear anything. I had a bad headache, and then when it finally came to, my flight was already leaving. When I finally got to my gate, to the appropriate gate, when I could finally hear, because I couldn't hear a thing. So it didn't make any sense to try to ask questions. I wanted to get rid of that pain. And when I finally got rid of it, I missed my flight, so I called the 800 number they left on my orders, and I got rained out, and the guy sent some kind of way he sent the shuttle to pick me up to a hotel, and the hotel brought me back, and I caught my flight the next morning back to Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Okay. And how long were you there?
I was there just for overnight. Oh,
Fort Knox.
Well, not Fort Knox. I was there from August to October.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Of
And
'97.
that's what year was?
Yeah, of '97.
August to October. So you was like 3 months?
Yeah, just about.
Like 12 weeks,
Right.
right? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Okay, and what did you do while you were there? What was that? Was that basic training?
That was an all-male boot camp. We didn't have any co-ed atmosphere. It was all male. Fort Knox is an all-male boot camp, so it was tough. It was hot. It was during the summer still, and a lot of training, a lot of good training that I haven't forgotten. But I always will remember my first years in the military, and I remember my drill sergeants. My drill sergeants were of a caliber that I couldn't even describe. They were right on time with everything that they had to say. It made sense. They didn't just yell. They actually gave you substance to chew on years later that you were going to have to face either way. They set you up. They didn't sugarcoat anything. They just told us the truth, and if you messed up, you got dealt with that same day. He said that's how you deal with your problems. You deal with your problems head first. You don't let them build up on you. And there was always constant teaching or a lesson being taught. I mean, for about 23 hours. You might get 1 hour to yourself, but 23 hours you belong to them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay, so discipline. There was a lot of discipline.
lots of discipline, lots of discipline. Yeah,
But you appreciated it.
yeah, I appreciate. We were all different collective ages. You know, you got to range from 18 to 35. I think was in my group, and most of us were under 21. There was some few here. They left the Navy or they left the Marines and went to the military, Army, and yeah, everyone had a different situation. But most of us were under 21, so we needed that.
Right.
I wanted it. I had a scholarship to Bethune-Cookman College to play in the band, but I knew I wasn't ready to go to college. I was going to party. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I was going to party. It's my first time really being away from home. I'm going to party. I figured, well, if I'm going to party, I want to be able to afford the party. So I figure I go in the military. At least I'm protected. I get like a couple of days to knock off, and I get training. I get a lot more for my money if I go in this direction.
Right.
And also, I keep my head in the game. You know, I got military backing. That's security, and it looks good on the resume. And you know, it gives myself a chance to figure out what it is that I want to do, instead of just wasting 4 years of my life or 3 years of my life living at home. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to step out and be a man and just face life head first instead of being protected. I think most parents, well, some parents, not my parents, they try to shield and protect their children from
Shelter.
They try to shelter them from the real world. Let them feel it.
Right.
Let them feel the heat. It's out there. You're gonna face it sometime or another. You
Right.
know?
Right. Reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about your boot camp training experience.
Boot camp.
And,
It was
and obviously, you remember your instructor, so
Yeah, it was
tell me a little
intense.
bit more about that. How'd you get through it?
Faith. I was a church-going guy before I left, so I knew how to read the Bible, and I trusted in God. I still do to this day. And I looked at how God brought us all together. We didn't get along at first, how we kind of had to get along, but collectively we were able to get along because of some certain circumstances. It forced you to just say, hey, look, we got to look out for each other.
Right.
And you were forced in that situation, look out for each other's back. If a guy's weak, like we had to do, I think it was like 20 or 30 pull-ups in order to go into the chow room. And if you didn't do it, you didn't go in. And they were for real about that. It was all about endurance and strength. And if one of your brothers, if he's struggling, you help him hold one leg, another guy hold a leg. You help that guy do his 30 until he finally gets it right.
Okay.
And then you help him. You guys help each other after work. You do push-ups together while you're shining boots, getting prepped for the next day. Everything about the military is all about simplicity and order. There's an hour or a second for something. That's what I like about the military. They kept to a schedule. So there was a time that we would shine boots, like around, I think, 1900, which is 7 o'clock. We'll be outside on the steps shining boots. You already showered up, ready for knockoff around 9 o'clock. We're going to sleep for the next day. You get your 8 hours rest. But it was a set order of how you did everything. You shine your boots at this time. You get your chow, do your chores. If we got class at this particular hour. But everything was in order. You didn't just have a free day. To just kick back. There was an order from day one to the last day. There was something for you to do each day. You didn't just sit around. And I appreciate that because I didn't want to become that guy that just lounged around after high school, and it's taking you a few years to catch up, to reality of life, of being an adult, a productive adult. And I wanted to face it head first and get that training. I appreciate it. Really did.
Okay. So there's a lot of structure.
A lot of structure.
Team building.
Yeah, team building. Then we had this leader that they would pull out of each platoon. They call him the platoon guide. He's in charge of the entire group. He makes sure everybody can get sub on time. He's like in place of a drill sergeant, he's the next in command, basically. Right. And that guy was selected based on certain aspects of something that he may have done or something that a drill sergeant saw in him. So the same leader, he can get fired, just like on the show Apprentice, you can get fired at any moment. And it happened. Yeah, you do something stupid, or it was all about growing. If you just didn't do enough, he removed you from that position. He put someone else that did something probably greater that day. So you're now. And I think they did that to try to make us force us to trust each other. Because he'll knock off one guy from a position and put another guy up that might have did something. Now this guy, he may not be leadership material yet. In his mind, he may not be, but
Right.
he will become that leader. Because now
Okay.
he's forced to become that leader now, and he's been selected. He doesn't want to, disappoint the drill sergeant, and also he sees himself in a different light. He doesn't see himself when he first walked through that door, when he first came into the military. Now he's a platoon guy. Now he has 45 guys that are trusting that he's going to lead them and train them and whatnot, and have them at a certain place at a certain time when they need to be there. Because
Right.
he holds each individual. Well, he's accountable for each individual.
Right.
So it was sort of a learning process. You were constantly on edge of not knowing what was going to happen. So you needed to know your stuff. So it didn't make sense then, but I look back now, I'm like, wow, it's funny how they arranged everything and how it happened and how we all graduated and we moved on. Mm-hmm. And it was like a teaching about life, about one of my drill sergeants was Drill Sergeant Kevin Townley, which is probably the meanest. He was a drill sergeant. I will give him. He's a drill sergeant's drill sergeant. He was tough from day one to the last day. Mm-hmm. Last day he kind of let off a little bit, but he was a great teacher. But one thing that he said right now, it's a bunch of garbage in your head. Your mind's on like TV, different things you did back home. Going back to the hood. So you're not in the hood. You're in the army. Or some guys are worried about some girl. I said, look, your girl, if that is your girlfriend, you're under 21. Look, she's with Jody. Okay, Jody's taking care of business back at the house. You might as well forget about her, man. They forced you to face some things. Yeah. Like some of you guys are just whipped in here. Like I need men. I can't have timid men under my command, and it made you kind of look at life a little different. From day one, you knew that this was going to be a tough assignment, a tough 9 weeks, but you can get through it. But it's going to be tough. You're not going to dance and haul your way through this, because it might be going good for maybe the day may be going great for 6 hours, no problems, no one's getting yelled at, and all of a sudden someone left a pillow or something untucked, and it's over. 4 hours of intense push-ups and sit-ups and whatever exercise they could find us doing or find us to do. They would do it. And those hills in Fort Knox, Kentucky, there's 2 hills. Yeah. Misery and Hell. I think we'll call Hell and Misery. One hill is so steep when you're going down it. You're almost sliding down like a sliding board. Yeah. The next one is just as bit worse. Right. It's steeper and it's longer. It's like 2 miles up. So you're walking constantly, basically crawling. And those hills will break you in. They will break you down and break you in. You will respect those hills from here on out. Then we used to run them towards the end of the 9 weeks. It was getting to a point where, we were in better shape. We had picked up some weight and whatnot. Those that lost weight, that needed to lose weight, they lost weight. So everybody's in shape, their condition. We started running those hills. It was. I moved up from. I used to be in the C group. When I first started running, I hated running. I used to get shin splints. I hated to run. Yeah. Nearly it felt like nails when I would run. I'm basically running on nails. Then finally, my drill sergeant, he taught me one. Kevin Townley again. He taught me how to get rid of it. He said, with your toe, write the alphabet. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, right. He said, I used to have shin splints real bad too. But as you can see, I can run my 2 miles in 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, so I trusted him, and I went ahead and did it, and it worked. And man, hitting those hills, I went up from C group to A group. A group's fast runners and whatnot. They're sprinting from start to finish, back and forth. And I didn't think that I was good enough to be in that group ever. Military taught me how to believe in myself and face the facts that you can. If you perceive it, you can do it. Okay. And they gave you the outlet to do it in. If you really want to prove yourself, you were always given that opportunity to prove yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of these kids out here today. They don't have that. They don't know that opportunity lies out there. They don't do their research. They don't have anyone telling them this information that has been there, that has been across the other side of the field, and can tell them, well, this is how it really is. Look, you're doing this other stuff. You should be looking at this thing in a different direction. There's other opportunities out here. It's not as bad as you really think it is. Yeah, it's tough. But also doing the bad things that you do and getting in trouble, that's tough too.
Right.
At least this one's legal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where'd you go after basic? You go to tech school?
I went to, it's called AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and I went to learn my job, my occupation. And my occupation that I chose was petroleum supply specialist. I chose that position out of a list of artillery positions and food prep and other positions that really I didn't have anything in common with. I figured, hey, look, where can I find something that I can take out of here and I can use as a job when I get out the military? Because look, I don't want to be stuck with a dead-end job, and every career move that you make or whatever line of work you choose is your business, but I want to make money. I don't want to, look at my future firsthand and see myself just doing this for the rest of my life. I wanted to do something that I can continue learning and use afterwards, And I chose petroleum supply, and I knew where I was going to be working when I picked that job in Miami at the MEP station. I picked that job, and I knew exactly where I would end up after the military. And now I work for the Palm Beach International Airport in their jet fuel farm. I knew I was going to be working there. It's just crazy, but I knew that I eventually was going to end up there because that's the first job that I thought of when I picked that job. I said, well, I guess I can work at the airport when I get out.
Right.
And I've done great things with that company. I mean, I've expanded our second office in Orlando, so I'm back and forth. In the military, it's like a never-ending, I don't know, it's like a Pandora box, so to speak, or some sort of fruit tree. It never stops giving you lessons. You learn so many lessons from the military that you can use in the civilian sector, and it's endless because people want good workers. People want those with creative minds and and I guess remarkable people. They need that in order to help grow their business and bring business into their business. If you got a good guy, he's working the front desk and he's sharp, he's creative, he's clever. People want to come back to your shop because of that one particular employee. And
right.
The military just taught me so many different training, different items that I've learned in regards to just my position with petroleum. I've went from propane to gasoline to working with kerosene, diesel. Now working with jet fuel. What else? I worked with argon gas. I've hauled so much equipment, driving trucks to shipyards, to different airports now. I've been to just about maybe 20 airports here in Florida alone. I mean, I've been to Tampa Airport. I've been to Jacksonville Airport. We got operations everywhere in the state of Florida for right now, and I've been to them. It's just crazy, and I say, you know what? This is from the military. It's not something that I woke up. I joined the military. I learned this job, and I did a lot of work while I was in this position. When I finally got to my duty station at Fort Hood, Texas, that's my first duty station, where I got great training in the airfield missions, and it was just where we worked so much, we traveled so much. The job that I have right now is so easy because it reminds me of the job that I had back at Fort Hood. I'm like, this is the same job. You're on the go, basically 12 hours a day, sometimes seven days a week. It depends on the mission. Mission first, then you take care of yourself later. That's just the way that we train, and I kind of get myself back in gear, and it just helped this company grow. We've grown to 4 drivers, and I never. Some days I might get called for a load, and I may not. In my mind, I may not feel like I want to do it, but then once I get back in that truck, it's like automatic. I'm back in the same zone when I was in the military, and I credit the military for all of that, because it's just the way that they structure. It's hard work, but there is a better reward at the end of that tunnel. That's why a lot of guys stay for, like my brother, stay for like 20-something years and whatnot. It's a good place to be.
Right.
There's a lot of benefits. And I give a lot of credit to those that went to war and those that have gone into the military that have done their part and gave their service to the country, and those that got out. I don't look at them any different. I mean, it's your choice what you choose, how long you want to give your service, but give your service because you're going to get a tenfold back.
Okay. So you didn't serve in any wars?
No, I didn't.
Where did you do your tech school at?
My tech school was at Fort Lee, Virginia.
Okay.
Fort Lee, Virginia. I got there in October of '97, and we trained and a few foreign missions. We did most of the class instruction was basically in a classroom setting.
Mm-hmm.
Went through a lot of manuals. Different training was done outside as far as hands-on training, as far as setting up tanks, setting up trucks for delivery, setting up your paperwork for tank farm pickup, and how to put out a fire. You know, if you have a chemical fire, then we wore chemical suits, and we used a special particular powder called PKP powder, and what it does, it takes the oxygen out of the source of heat. It takes the oxygen, it rids itself of the oxygen. It suffocates, and if there's no oxygen, it doesn't burn. So.
Okay. And how long did you say you were there?
I was there from October to December of '97, so about 2.5 months.
Okay.
No, actually, it was 3 months.
Okay.
It was 3 months.
So then, where did you travel to after you graduated?
I came back home. I came back home for Christmas vacation.
Okay.
Then after that, yeah, I'm gonna leave, and then afterwards, what did I do? Well, I had another tech school to go to. They sent me to truck driving school.
Where?
At the Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, I call misery because it was nothing fun about that place. I remember the color gray. That was the color every day. Gray, cloudy, gray, cold, maybe some snow, but just dull. Just a dull place in the winter. Don't go to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The place is dull. And long streets. I mean, we ran for days in that place. I mean, they just built that place on a flat piece of land, and all these roads that just go north and south, and they just run you. I mean, the airborne's there. A lot of special forces units are there, and they're training. They're training from sun up to sundown. It's the real deal. And you see these guys, you know, big muscles, and you're running with them. They got a chorus in the morning, an airborne chorus they used to run, and they'll be singing while they're running. And it was just, it was a different. It kind of made you feel like you had that old Army feeling. You could tell that this is an old Army base, and they have these old Army units, and they're singing these carols and whatnot. These old Army Eagle chants and whatnot, and you kind of get into it for a while, but I hated that place. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not like that place. It was just so cold, but the training was great. The training as far as driving trucks, I mean, day one, they just threw you in. You hop in a truck. It was like maybe a team of maybe 25 of you. I think my platoon was like 25 or 30, and we'll hop in. You had a battle buddy, so they'd break us down in twos. And because it was only a 2-seater, we were driving Hemet trucks. And the first day, hop in the truck. You know, after you did your inspection, you hopped in the truck, and one driver drives a certain distance, and you drive a certain distance. But basically, the trucks were automatic, so anyone can drive it. But you had to get used to the length. The length was like maybe about a bus size,
right?
A city bus, and. You just follow in a convoy up and down the military highway. Sometimes you went off base if we needed to for training, but basically we stayed on base riding through the desert. Well, whatever that I forgot.
Was
you know, I forgot what Missouri. Missouri is just weird. It's just. Because it's flat, then it starts to curve, then it starts to do this other thing. Okay. And there's just a bunch of fields and grass.
It wasn't desert, but it was like a lot of flatlands, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of dirt. I remember that.
Gotcha.
Anything, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so, that was your additional tech school. How long were you there?
Tech. I was there for about 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we graduated, and they sent us to... a team of us, 10 of us, they sent us to Fort Hood, Texas. And we kind of went out in style. They picked us up in a charter bus, and they took us from the base to St. Louis Airport. And got off, and we were all on Class A's. And for like 3 hours, we finally got some freedom, away from the military. And, so we all in this airport actually allows smoking. So, this one private, we walking past this one area, and like, wow, they got smoking in that place. That's cool. You can go smoke in the airport. They got some sort of humidifier or something, some kind of vacuum that sucks the smoke.
Right.
And we passing by, and we see one of our comrades, and he's sitting there, in his classic uniform. He's just sitting there smoking like, finally, man, cigarettes. So we joined him for a smoke session, and it kind of felt good for a second. It's like 10 of us, so, of course it created a little scene and whatnot. People wanted to know where we were coming from, and I felt like a celebrity for like 2 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I got a little, 15 minutes of fame.
There you go.
I felt that for a second, and we flew from St. Louis into Dallas. Then from Dallas, we flew into Killeen. I'm gonna tell you, we had to first of all get off at Dallas Airport, Dallas Fort Worth, and what did we do? We had to go to this other side of the airport on a train. Then we had to get off, and we had to walk onto the tarmac into a crop duster. I'm like, well, wait a minute, where's Fort Hood at? Why are we riding a crop duster? I said, it's not that far. So we went, and I'm right there by the engine. I'm thinking that this thing's going to come through because it's propeller. And I'm thinking this must be some small boondock town they're sending us to. So finally we get to Killeen. It's not that bad. It's kind of like a growing city, like what they did with Wellington and whatnot. It started off small, then it grew. And then so Killeen was still in its beginning stage. It's an old base, but it was in its beginning restoration stages. So it wasn't a lot of people there at first, but of course, we want to know what is there to do. We just got here. We got signed in to reception, and we went out that night. Partied. And then the real deal didn't come until 5 days later when we got picked up by our unit, and we finally found out we were in a Apache unit, and we were the replacements of the 10 soldiers that they had at the installation that were getting ready to leave. They were leaving within 3 months. PCS, getting out. Some people getting married, going with the wife, whatever. They had 10 guys that were leaving either way, and we were the replacements. And me being from Florida, I got sick of catching cabs. I said, you know what? This is my second day, and I spent like $45 on cabs. I'm like, hey, we don't do this in Florida. We got buses and stuff. Tri-rail. You need something. You got a buddy that can give you a lift. Either way, you got a way getting back. So I went off, and I knew I was going to buy a bike or anything like that. So I went out and got me a car. And they thought I was nuts. They said, you want to get a car? The sergeant's going to get you. They want you to save your money. I said, look, it's my money, my responsibility. I drive cars. I don't catch cabs. That's just the name of the... So I became the taxi. Everybody wants to ride with me. Then finally, I said, you know what? No, we don't do that where I come... Look, out for a little bit, I'll hang with you, give you a lift here and there. But after a while, look, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And figured, hey, look, you know what? I just started doing my own thing. So I started driving around all of Fort Hood, Killeen, Texas. I wanted to get familiarized with the area. I said, look, this is going to be my home for 3 years. Look, I need to familiarize myself. This is my home. I felt at that point, I'm finally in the military. Okay, I can do what I want to do. I got a certain time to work, but after work, I do what I want.
Right.
And it was great. My first couple of years, I had fun. I had lots of fun. I had family in San Antonio, so I went to visit them. My uncle, who kept getting stationed in San Antonio, sometimes he would call me up, and when I go down and hang out with him, I can get on the base because I have a military ID card. So it was great. Texas was a great start.
Experience.
I want to say that I came at the time when that unit, they were replacing their aircraft, the A model of the Apache. They had just got the D model.
The helicopters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are fighter helicopters. They had just received, I guess, a grant or whatever. They're going to be replacing them with the new D model. So they had to be trained on that aircraft. Then we had to be trained as a unit to supply them. So they were going through a unit, I call it UTP. It was a unit transition program or something project they were doing, and went on for about 8 months of just training. Every 8 months, every month you were training, you were doing something. You were in the field. We'll be going to different cities and working and whatnot. With the unit for whatever assignment we're doing. So it was a great experience. Just to know how this thing operates. As far as if we were to go to war, this is what we'll deal with. And I traveled TDY with that unit a lot. We went to California. We went to Fort Irwin, California for the National Training Center where we trained for war forever. I mean, it's like we were in the desert forever, but it was fun. That's an experience. I mean, if you're a soldier, you should go to NTC because you don't know if you want to. I mean, I definitely would encourage every soldier to go to NTC before you ever have to go to anything like Afghanistan or Iraq. You need to feel that fear first, so you can face it head on and be on track and know what to do in a field type setting. A lot of those guys that went to Iraq and Afghanistan, they had never been to war. They had never even been to NTC. Some had never even probably been to the field. So, you know, they got out there and they kind of got shell shocked a little bit. Like, hey, I'm usually in the barracks, so I don't know. Wherever you work at, you know, I work in my duty section, the motor pool, whatever. You know, I'm out in the field. I'm under 18-hour day work day. You know, I'm not used to that. You know, a lot of those guys, they're not conditioned enough. They think, you know, sending them through a 2-week, I guess, refresher course is going to do it. Doesn't really. I mean, it could for some, but you know, you're talking about a vast majority. The vast majority is going to win either way. You know. So I'm glad, I'm fortunate that I was able to go to NTC and experience a lot with the unit that I did travel with. I'm glad I flew back on a Black Hawk. I got lucky enough to fly back on a Black Hawk back from California to Texas, and we flew to. Tell you one experience. We flew through different cities to pick up for fuel, and we flew to Arizona, flew through the caverns and stuff. Saw stuff that you normally wouldn't see.
Right.
And we got snowed in when we got to Albuquerque. We got to Kirtland Air Force Base. Got snowed in. We didn't know it until we got to the gate. The next morning, they said, "Hey, look, the airport's closed. No flights." You know, that's big smiles to us. We're from Fort Hood, Texas. Like, look, we're in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
You know, like once in a blue moon chance. So we all got dressed up and we went partying. You know it, man. We went on a drinking binge. We went to every bar. We like, hey, we're in Albuquerque, man. When are we ever gonna be in Albuquerque again?
Right. I got you.
So I mean, it was. Man, these guys, I tell you, these guys in the streets, you should go to the military the first couple of years you graduate high school. It's a great experience. It will prepare you for whatever it is that you want to do. It will prepare you mentally, and I think that's what's really blocking a lot of the kids that get into like the trouble with like detention centers and different things of that nature. They get in trouble because they don't know and they don't think that there's anything else within their reach that they can do. They think that the walls are up. I can't do that, or someone is at home preaching or fueling this information, because that's not today, not in this day and age. There's just too much with the technology and the internet. I mean, you got an opportunity at your hand. I mean, at your hands at these days. I mean,
right.
Back in '97, I couldn't do this. I couldn't, text. I couldn't go online to Indeed.com and find a job overseas. I couldn't do that with a phone.
Right.
I couldn't even think about doing that, owning a phone and being able to do that. I never in my lifetime could think of that. But now the opportunity is there. So for a kid to say he doesn't have it, I'm like, you crazy, man. But like I say, one of the things that my drill sergeants taught me is like, be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of them. So I credit military for my life and for what I've done. My first 9 years, I credit the military. Military really. One thing about it, they will feed you. One thing I will say about it, that's a company for you. The company that will feed you, that won't shake their head, at you. If you walk in the chow hall, you will get something to eat. There'll be a mess chief or sergeant in there that's over the chow hall. You're running short on cash if you're not on meal card and you don't have your stuff together. Just give Sergeant a minute. Sergeant hook you up or something. He's gonna talk to you too. Yeah. But he's gonna hook you up, and you gotta love that. The camaraderie of a business. It's a business, that provides this love. It's just it's just crazy.
I was gonna ask you about that before, about the camaraderie. You experienced a lot of that.
Oh yeah. Different races, man. I mean, you get yourself in situations where if you do have a problem with, I never had, because I grew up as an Air Force brat, but some people, you got guys from different all walks of life that are in the military. This is their first time being amongst this race or different races or other people. Right. And for some it may be a shell shocker, But one thing I've always been able to see, the everlasting love of just getting the mission done or helping this guy out if he needs the help to train or whatever. Like I had a Korean, actually, he was born in Korea. He lived in Korea. He was in the ROK Army, the Korean Army, and he served in there for a while. And he moved to, he got his green card and I guess his citizenship and whatnot. He came to America and he joined the military. and he ended up being my roommate for truck driving school. And his English was rough. You know, he admitted that to me from day one, but he understood. But as far as speaking and understanding the definition, sometimes it throws him off, you know, through our training.
Right.
And it got to a point where we both almost flunked out of truck driving school. They gave us 4 tests the first week, and we kind of like, I don't know, wasn't prepared for it. You know, it was a lot of information, and it was like 6 or 7 of us that we're going to have to retest. And if you don't pass this time, you got to recycle. So,
all over again.
Yeah, all over again. So, of course, I started studying tonight. I knew I was just knocking off, just chasing girls. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm sorry, I'm from South Florida. You know, that's what. It was fun. It was just at your. Oh man, it was just so much fun at first when you first get there because you know you're in reception. But you know, I finally got serious, knuckled down. I was studying every night, and he noticed that. Look, man, you're for real. Like you at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you've been studying since like 10 o'clock. You're for real about passing? Like, yeah, I want to pass with no problem. And we helped each other. You know, I helped him understand. I told him, look, I want to learn some Korean. I want to learn how to, you know, do some karate. He knew Taekwondo. And we just exchanged information that way. That's how we played it out. And, you know, where can you go and find an example of that, an example of friendship like that, you know? And he told me about it. He gave me life experiences about his life in the Korean Army, how tough it really is. He said I used to have to break up riots, you know, different things. Wow. So you find someone that has a life and experience. He was about 5 years older than me, but you know, his name was Jung Bae Lee. I'll never forget that guy. Never. He went back to New York. He got out. He said, I'm going to open my convenience store. he said, look, I'm done with the military, with my convenience store, and work with my computer company. I'm like, dude, do your thing. You know, he always had his head focused on something.
Yeah, something he could teach you.
Yeah. He always told me, we finally passed that test. Yeah. It's like, man, it wasn't for you. He tried to pay me. I said, dude, don't pay me. We go watch a movie. I said, what movie? I said, go watch a movie. We went and watched The Jackal. I'll never forget it. It was the only day playing at the base. At the base movie. You know, there's only like 2 movies playing. At, a place like Fort Leonard, you got 2 reels. So
it was one at a time.
Yeah, see, you know how it is, man. Only one at a time, and it's probably like only like one day that it opens up. Maybe 2 days, Wednesday and Saturday. So you better catch it. Right. Look, man, it's Saturday. I don't want to break any more money out. You know, we're going to be leaving next week. You know, well, at that time we were. Well, I didn't want to break any money out. I didn't want to spend. You know how the military is. They put everything at your hands, you know, like CDs and stuff. We didn't want to waste money, so we went to the movies, you know. Kicked back while everybody else was going out, go party. Went to the movies and just kicked back and had a ball, you know, just, you know. I was always watching what I was doing in the military, like where am I at? You know, I don't want to get lost in the shuffle, just partying all the time, like where am I at and, you know, what's next? What's up ahead? You know, after this is duty station, you know, trying to buy a car. I don't know about wife, nothing like that yet, but you know, let's get the car, let's get focused, because you know we're not that far away from Mexico. You know, we can go do something. You know, we can actually have a good time in Texas. You know, go to Louisiana, New Orleans, or Dallas. I had an uncle in Shreveport, Louisiana, which was 4.5 hours away, and that's where I spent a lot of my time too, up in Shreveport at Barksdale Air Force Base. Okay. He just recently retired too, so I was always surrounded by military guys. You know, my uncles. And I was hang out on the base up there, you know, at Shreveport. So I had fun at Fort Hood. Fort Hood was a blast.
Did you mention all of the places you traveled? Where did you leave out?
I left out. I went to from Fort. We kept going back and forth to Fort Irwin, California. So that was a rotation. Fort Irwin, California. Okay. So we kept going back and forth, and I got used to that, training soldiers and whatnot, and. We ended up getting a mission out to El Paso, Fort Bliss. That was for our missiles training. Our Apaches were shooting their Hellfire missiles. I guess getting trained up and whatnot, and we had to go out there to support them. And that was a decent trip, you know, just to be on another base, and basically you're there to work, but after work, you know, you're free to do whatever. If you want to rent a car, you can do whatever you want. You know, they gave us more years as you train with a group. They build trust with you, you know. Right. You don't have a big brother watching over your back. You're trusted to do the right thing. You know. That's what we're there to do, and we have fun. You know, off base, El Paso, having fun. And, getting some culture, moving on, growing, getting older. I finally left there and went to Fort Lewis, Washington.
Washington State?
Washington State.
Oh, okay. You're all up in the Northwest now.
I hope to God I'm able to retire there one day. That place is beautiful. They call it the Emerald City. I'm going to tell you, that place is like digital TV. I mean, when the sun comes out just right, it's a beautiful place. I mean, the air, the pine trees or whatever, the tall trees that they have there. They had a mountain up. I forgot the name of that mountain. Mount Kilimanjaro, I believe. No, it's not. I don't think it's that. It's Mount Helen. It's something.
Rushmore? Mount St. Helens?
Might be Mount St. Helens.
Kilimanjaro is in Africa. That's okay.
I'm way off. Way off.
Gotcha.
Way off. It's huge.
Yeah, but Mount St. Helens is up there.
Man, you can ride for days. That mountain's still sitting right there.
Right.
I think it's huge, man, and it's right outside the base of Fort Lewis, Washington. So I had fun. Seattle. I mean, it's a different vibe, and the culture's different. The people.
Well, climate, atmosphere.
Yeah, it's like you don't have all that crime and all that race talk. The stuff you deal with in like the big metropolitan cities. It was just nice. Everybody wanted to get along. Everybody had their own thing going. Like, how you doing? You could speak to someone. And fishing, there was good fishing up there. So I had a chance to travel from the East to the Midwest to Texas to California all the way to Northwest. I mean, I've had a ball with the military. I've been able to see my country at the expense of the government. Thank you.
Well, you work for it.
I work for it.
Yeah.
I guess you could call it that, contracted work.
Right. But you got to enjoy.
I got to enjoy, the other benefits of living in another area, another state, and the culture and the food. And oh man, I would always want to go back to San Antonio, Texas. A lot of military bases are down there too, but I went there for 2000. For it was 2000, but it was 2001's New Year's, and I went there for New Year's, and I had a ball. I mean, those Mexican folk, they can cook some tacos. I mean, those are real tacos. This is not Taco Bell. These are real tacos. Steak, fajitas. I must have spent $75 in an hour on food. I mean, I was just walking. There was just booths, but the food was so good I couldn't stop eating, man. It was my girlfriend and I couldn't stop eating. Food was just that good. It was a great experience. Fort Hood, Texas. That was I was in Fort Hood, but Fort Lewis, Washington had its pluses too. There was a lot of stuff to do, out in that area. A lot of people, like I said, they go fishing, they go see the whales and whatnot.
Did you eat a lot of salmon up there?
I love salmon because of that place. I eat salmon now. I love salmon. And salmon is my fish of choice. I tell you, I would want to hopefully, seriously, I know that Bill Gates has a house right off the ocean up there. I would love to. I don't blame him. I would have did the same thing. If I had the money, I would have did the same thing, because you can't beat a view and just the scenery and just the camaraderie of the people up there. It's different, except they want to say about Sarah Palin, but it's a beautiful area. You can't just judge.
Did you go to Alaska?
No, I never went to Alaska. Never. Okay. I want to go. I want to go, but yeah, that's something I'm working towards getting to. I haven't been there, so I can't judge the place. They said that people on the edge of the earth, on the edge of the country, whatnot, maybe a little different. Like, you know what? They don't have to deal with what we deal with. It's just a collective respect. We don't deal. They don't deal with certain things or deal with certain aspects of different crime. I mean, crime is everywhere, but what particular crime you're talking about, and it was.
There's not a lot of violent crime up there.
Not that I know of. And they have their days. Everyone has their days of problems and whatnot. But up there it was peaceful. It was quite peaceful. I have to admit, it was different. I met some people. Even on the Greyhound back to West Palm, I took a Greyhound back to West Palm. I'll tell you, that was 5 days. I learned a lot about life that day, that week. But I met some nice people on the. I met a teacher. Matter of fact, she was going to Spokane, Washington, and she was going to go take care of her father. And I mean, just the way that she explained about life and growing up in her background and whatnot, I knew that there's some good history still here. I mean, there's areas. So I was glad to still be able to go to Fort Lewis, Washington, be able to see some of that western, western portion of the country, and see the the bison running in a herd and whatnot. I've seen stuff that I normally wouldn't see here in West Palm Beach.
Right.
I've seen real Indians, real life in Billings, Montana, real Indians. You know, we stopped there for a while, and I'm looking. I'm like, wow, you know, these guys, they got the cloth and they got the, you know, the whole outfit and
The
whatnot.
dress, yeah.
Even the area, old train town, you know, beans and you know whatnot, and they're peaceful. I'm like, wow, and they take care of their families and whatnot. But it's a real old Indian town. Like I don't know what tribe, but yeah, they live there. I'm thinking, wow,
Billings in Montana, right?
yeah, Billings, Montana, yeah.
Mm.
And it just gave me, you know, growth and aspect of this area. I'm like, wow, you know, it's amazing that I'm able to still see that this is still life in other parts of this country. You know, you think that your life is just city, and it's just a metropolitan and just busy area, and that's all that you know of. But there's other areas of the country. It's not like that. So it gives you, our military, if anything, if I can sum it up, it gave me perspective on all walks of life, all parts of the country, and all parts of respect of persons. You know, I have that. I'm the least racist person in the world, because you know what? I've met some guys that have had my back, and I have had their back. You know, and when you've gone through that experience where you needed that person, you know, the person didn't have to do anything for you, but they gave you that portion of love. You come back to this. I guess when you come back to your home or record, you come back with a different mindset. I know that my family, they say I'm different. I've been different since I came back from the military and whatnot. They can tell the difference. They can know that I'm not like most of the guys that lived near my grandfather. They think I'm the police. You know, it's because of the different perspectives that I have on life. Like, look, man, I'm in the military. I live in different areas. You know, different ways and different times I've had to adjust, and that's what life is about, adjustment. You cannot just stay the same, or you will have just the same result. You'll be the same person, and you'll be wondering why you haven't made it across that threshold. Well, look, you got to change up what you're doing. You know, your actions need to change in order to give a different result.
Right.
And I give the military a lot of. I think about going back every day. I think about it, but I know that I love what I'm doing now. I'm making a lot more money. My chapter with the military is closed. You know, my dad was brutally murdered here in West Palm, downtown. He was shot in the head, and you know, after that, I needed to get out. My brother died in '01, and he died in a bad car accident. His girlfriend was pregnant at the time, but she survived the accident, and I help take care of my niece now. You know, I do things with my niece now, so I'm like her acting father, and you know, what can I tell you? After my dad passed, I felt that was the chapter that I needed to close. I needed to come back home. I needed to. That was a big blow, right there. You know, I really wasn't expecting to hear that, but you know, I got through it, and I figured it was just appropriate time for me to part my ways and come back home and go to college. And I went to college. Went here to Northwood University.
Right.
Where I utilized the MGI bill that the military awarded me, and I was able to get my associate's degree, and you know, from Northwood University, and you know, since then I took off with a trucking company, and I've just been busy since. It's just been, you know, just with just that associate's degree, and I guess more so my experience has carried me through a lot of jobs, basically.
Right.
Or different positions with jobs. I've never had a problem receiving a job. If anything, it's always been on the spot. If anything, I got the job on the spot based on my record and whatnot. And you know, you have to appreciate some decisions you make in life when you made them. I made that decision in my life when I was 17, well actually 18 years old. I would go into the Army. First, I thought I would just do the reserve, but after I had surpassed the deadline for ROTC school, what was it, ROTC scholarship, I surpassed the deadline for that scholarship, and she said I would have to wait. My recruiter informed me that I would have to wait another year. I'm like, well, that's another year in Palm Beach,
Right.
and I'm out of high school. I started looking, you know, ahead of this thing. I'm out of high school. I'll be out of high school, and I'll be living with mom. That's cool, but you know, what does that entail? I gotta pay bills. I gotta still gotta have curfew probably, you know, and I'm not really moving forward yet. I'm having to wait a year to move forward. I don't like that. So I figured I would join the military. I said, well, I'm just go. She said, well, just join. Just join, get away, see life. Give yourself 4 years.
Right.
Say, it ain't gonna hurt you. You still be 22. You can do what you want to do afterwards. You know, life it be just beginning anyway.
Right.
You know. I said, you got a good point. I like the way you put the guy. I was fighting at first. She was like, you know, you don't want to do, you don't want. I'm like, look, if I can't do reserve, I don't want to do it. I want to come back home. I said, why you want to come back here? Like, look, go live your life. It's your chance. You got we're gonna give you a free army, free plane ticket to get out of here and go do what you want to do. We're gonna give you that plane ticket. All you gotta do is sign up. We'll give you that plane ticket to a better life.
Right.
And you know what? If I can see her to this day, I haven't seen her since that day, since I joined. But I was shaking her head like, you were right. You gave me a free plane ticket to change my life.
Right.
And I did. And the rest is history. I'm talking about it here, you know. In over what, 9 years, you know, 9 years of my service, and I've had a great experience. I had a great time. I traveled. I trained. I trained soldiers. The list goes on. You know,
right.
There's so much that I was able to see and identify. Even now, I can identify certain procedures or certain procedures or certain standards or any rules that my boss or my employer, they may give us a mission or an objective. I will understand that objective before it even gets in my hand. You tell me what it's about. All I would need to know is how many days, how many people, or how many loads do we need to get done, and who are we doing this for? And I would have it figured out.
Right.
Because the military taught me to look forward, look ahead. You know, be aware of your surroundings. What are we doing, and how long are we doing it for? You know, it's just some of those same routines that they were teaching us in the military. It just comes back second nature, you know. So I've always retained like a certain stash of my training, whether it be documents, whether it be just manuals. I've always kept it just to go back. You know, sometimes you need refresher training when you haven't been in a certain setting in a while. You need to get some refresher training. Remember how it was then. I never look at a job.
Keep going.
How it is now, you know, based upon what the other jobs, what the other employers or what the other coworkers are doing.
Let it ring.
Okay.
Call him back. Okay. Well, we've got a few more questions. We wrap it up.
All right.
All right. So you didn't see any combat. You weren't a prisoner of war.
No. Thank God. Thank God I wasn't.
Were you ever involved in any battle planning?
Only for the FARP missions, like if we have to set up a fuel mission, or you know, what we did, we hauled fuel and ammunition for the aircraft. So if we have say we have a FARP mission, they need to know exactly where we're going to be, how much fuel do we need to have on hand before we run low, before we dispatch a tanker service, which will be another unit to bring fuel out to our area. As far as like quick reaction forces and stuff like that, that's something that we did intercollectively.
Right.
We assigned certain soldiers for quick reaction when something goes wrong, or you know, something goes down. They get that alert. A certain 5 will be dispatched. They knew it wherever they're at. You come to this section, come to the TOC, which is like the command to guard the TOC, basically.
Right.
Wherever the command is at. So yeah, we did practices like that. You know, we got shot at one time. Like we had this training operation where we were getting shot at by these Russian helicopters.
Okay.
That was the real deal. They had blanks, but you know they're shooting.
Right.
And they just came out unannounced. You know, I mean, we're refueling, and here comes these helicopters shoot up our fuel mission. And now we gotta stop what we're doing, get in position, and shoot our blanks back at him. These lasers. It was called Miles gear. It was just like laser tag, basically.
Right.
They have a laser monitor in there. If they get shot, okay, they're
Paintball.
out. Yeah, basically. Yeah, something like similar to paintball, but it's laser tag.
Yeah.
And you know, it happened. You got to still get the mission going. You know, don't get yourself killed. You know, because sometimes when we would refuel, the rotors will still be turning. You know, they'll still keep those helicopters turned on while we're refueling. It was called quick refuel, Well, they call it hot refuel.
Right.
But it stands for quick refuel. So they can, you know, get loaded, get rearmed, and get out of there.
Right.
You know, get back out in action. And that was basically our main job, is to set the FARP up and be able to knock that take that those 8 positions basically. We set up 8 positions for them, for 8 pads, for 8 aircraft to land and get fuel and get out of there. We got to pack that thing up in 45 minutes and move to another location. So we have to pack it up in 45 minutes. You got to have a team of at least 20 to make that happen, you know, and to be ready to drive off to the next section to set up another FARP, basically.
Right.
And we did that, you know, in and out, you know. It may look like a lot of work, and it is, but you will get it done. You know, we had a certain standard of how we would do the job. Basically, it was a SOP, standard operating procedure that we would do, and we would practice it. We would perfect it. We would just perfect it each and every time. What isn't working? Why can't we do this even faster? We'll find a way. You know, as we were go through the process, we'll find another way. Like, hey, look, this is faster right here. Let's try this.
Right.
And, you know, so we worked together, and basically it was like a team of. We were like a team of maybe individuals of under, as far as the younger enlisted soldiers, 25 and under, 25 and under. You know, so you got to think. I mean, that's pretty good for guys not knowing each other, not knowing the thing about this operation, and what you're doing. You're actually doing a service. You're actually doing a job. You know, this is something that you can do outside of the military, and you guys are doing it right.
Right.
You know, so we were already learning our job then. We didn't think about it. We thought it was just work. But yeah, it's work. Mm-hmm. It's work on that. You know, in the civilian sector, it's something else. It's just termed something else. You know, so we were learning our job. It's just funny how you can just be training, and you think that you just train. You just do this as a standard op, but no, you're actually working. Mm-hmm. You're actually learning your job. And even now, I mean, with the jobs that I've had, I sit back and laugh like, wow, I remember we used to have so much trouble doing this at first. Right. You know, until we actually learn what to do. Now look at me, I'm running the whole operation myself. Yeah. You know, I tell you, it was a great experience.
You didn't have any problem staying in touch with your family, did you?
No, I didn't. I used phone cards. You know, I called home the first couple, years when I first got in it, because I'm homesick. Everybody gets homesick. You know, you just want to hear a voice that reminds you of who you are. Mm-hmm. Then after a while, I got used to just being away. I like this.
You like the food, right?
I like the food. I like the sense of just being grown, and I got my own bills paying for. I'm doing me, and I'm not asking for nothing from mom. Or I've never been that type of child that I need mom. I need mom. I've always been a child since the age of 14. I worked. Mm-hmm. I've always worked. Even my senior prom and graduation gown, I paid for everything. Right. I mean, so I've always been independent. Gotcha. And I wanted to, magnify that even more as I graduate from high school. I want to say, look, I want to do this on a bigger scale. I don't want to ask for nothing. Right. You know, they're gonna hold that over my head later on. You know, just kind of break that baby umbilical cord type thing with your parents. It's time to snip the cord. You know, it's time to grow up and face some things as they are. You know. And that's just where I'm at right now.
Were there entertainers that came to the base?
Oh yeah, I saw Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac came to Fort Hood.
Okay. You seen the other entertainers?
I seen Bernie Mac. I seen let's see here. There's so many. 702, the little girl group from Vegas. Before they were even 702, I saw them. They were some little girl act that came to the AIT base. That were, the little club they had for us. They did some sort of dance routine and singing and whatnot. So I've seen 702. I've seen there's so many. Let's see, Earth, Wind and Fire. Celine Dion. She came to the base. George Bush. He would fly he has a base. He has a ranch in Texas, which is 30 minutes away from the base. So he would fly his aircraft, the Air Force One and all those helicopters. They will fly into to Robert Gray Army Airfield, park there, and he'll take off in the helicopters back to his ranch. Mm-hmm. So you know, that was pretty interesting to see that how that whole thing. They would block off the whole area. You know.
What did you think of officers or fellow soldiers?
Well, I think everybody to each his own. You know, they knew their. I mean, in terms of what, as far as.
How did you feel about them? You know, what was your, how did you feel about your fellow soldiers?
I saw perceptions more than I saw people. Okay. I didn't really see people. I try to look over who you are as a person, as far as if you have rank and whatever race you're from. I try to look at the character of the person. What's coming out of that voice box.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play games like that. I would just, be doing my thing as a soldier, working. I would listen more than I do anything. Instead of looking, I would listen to what's being said. And a lot of times I received a lot of lessons more than anything from the people that spoke around me. A lot of the pilots and whatnot, they've been in other professions and whatnot. And, they've been around the globe a little bit. They knew about living overseas. They knew about life as a soldier. They became an officer later on.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always a life lesson going on somewhere if you really paid attention to what's going on in your unit. And I was more concerned about what I wanted to become more than anything. And I became a trainer more than I did anything in the military. I became a trainer. I trained soldiers how to do what we do: airfield missions, airfield operations, how to refuel an aircraft, how to stay accountable of the aircraft that are flying, and what time they'll be back, how to keep direct communication with the pilot to know where he's gonna land at, and how often he's gonna need to fill up, how long he's gonna fly, and different things like that. So I was, being that I had the only car, our airfield was on the other side of the base. Mm-hmm. We were on West Fort Hood. We lived on West Fort Hood, and the base was on Fort Hood at the time. We had an airfield, but they haven't moved the aircraft to that particular airfield yet. So with me being the only young soldier with a car, of course they're going to use me. They're going to use me as a grunt, And I didn't care, I wanted to work. I wanted to learn this thing, what we do and whatnot. And I became the first soldier out of my group of 10 that started doing field missions, and I would train those soldiers. I would be on field missions for 9 months. I'll be training. I wouldn't even have to show up for work. I would have to show up to the airfield to begin the missions and whatnot and training.
Right.
And I'm just a private, So I thought that was a plus as my first experience.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where were you?
I was Fort Lewis, Washington.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterwards?
Came home, West Palm Beach, and relaxed for a second. Actually, the second day I got here, I went looking for a job.
I was going to ask you, did you go to work or did you go back to school?
I went back looking for a job. And I had little odd jobs, Avis, car rental, Old Navy in the mall, JCPenney. I actually worked at both JCPenney and Old Navy in the Palm Beach Mall at the same time, and that sucked. I hated that. I hated retail. I hate retail, man. And people look, if you want to buy it, buy it. I'm not gonna force you to buy it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm an old fuel hound. Job one done. Now I go home. I'm used to that. Not, oh, this is pretty. This goes with your earrings. I don't care. Buy two. Shoot, I don't care about that. But I got some odd jobs. And finally I got into working at a boatyard here in West Riviera Beach. I worked for Cracker Boy Boat Works. Worked as a travel lift operator. I started off as a deckhand, as a laborer. Then I worked my way up as a travel lift operator. I was taking yachts, 80-foot yachts out of the water, man. 110-ton machine.
Right.
Is able to lift that amount of weight. And did that for a while, for a couple of years. And then finally, seen a guy at the Marigas. He came to the quick stop, I guess to fill their tank. I'm like, well, look, what do I need to do that? He told me what I needed. I'm like, okay. I worked with jet fuel in the military. Like, yeah, you should be able to do it. But those guys, they ain't gonna tell you too much. They're just gonna tell you, hey, look, if you want to do it, do it. But the guy who was kind of sincere said, look, go see this guy. And he gave me a card. Said, look, if you're really interested, just make sure you got your license and then you got your endorsements. So I thought about it and I figured, well, what do I need to do to get my license? The actual commercial license.
Yeah, see,
And I called in and said, well, look, we need a copy of your military license. I'm like, that's it? I got that in my bag. It's been sitting there.
Right.
So I took it and went in and they exchanged it and gave me a CDL.
That was it.
The rest is history. I've just been driving gas trucks, man. Just been hitting the road running.
Did you ever use your GI Bill for anything?
Yeah, for Northwood University. I went to Northwood for business management.
Okay.
And working on my second, the other GI Bill that the 9/11 post 9/11 GI Bill. I've applied for and waiting on my approval letter to get here for that. Because the first one that I received was the old one. I received the old MGI Bill. Now they have this new one that actually has a better benefit. It pays your rent, pays your school, pays your books. I mean, I had to pay my own books last time, you know, because I like to finish my bachelor's and go on to receive my master's and even my doctorate.
Right.
But more than likely, I've gone off from working with business management. I like business management; it's a great field, but I have more of a love for child psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I understand psychology as far as the human behavior, why people do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it results from a root, and I'm going to use it for that. I like to be my family's first doctor, and I know that that's a challenge. You know,
Right.
it really is. But I know that I can do it because I have friends that are PhD recipients, and I've watched them do it. I watched what it took for them to do it. You know, a lot of it is just staying on the path. You know, it's no matter at whatever cost, staying on the path.
Right.
Because there are going to be some stumbling blocks ahead. Don't think that they're not.
Right.
But if you stay the course, you will get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want. I want to get my PhD in child psychology and work with at-risk kids, and hopefully, you know, start a practice one day. But I like to give back. I think if you give back, you get back tenfold. You know, as far as a career,
Right.
you get back tenfold. You don't necessarily need. Everybody wants $1 million, but if you have $1 million mind, you will eventually get $1 million. I mean, I would think if you have $1 million mind, so if you educate yourself, you should be able to receive the rewards of monetary, if that's what you want. For me, I like education. I like doing something that creates a difference in someone else. If I can create that, I'm already receiving my reward. I do want to be paid, of course, but I want the best of both worlds. I guess I'm just stuck with that because I'm still stuck in that military setting of making a difference.
Right.
I'm stuck in that area. I'm not going to leave that. I mean, I get bored just sitting down in my house sometimes. I want to do something. You know, I want to do something that helps someone, you know, or if anything, educate someone. I hate for someone not to want to be educated or to be taught or to be trained the right way instead of just being ignorant and not knowing at all. Like, you have an opportunity here. You should at least see what it's about. You know, don't just close the door to your life. That's what you're doing. You're closing the door to what your life could be. You know, and I may be I don't know, not average in thinking like that, but I think that it's the extraordinary people that help shape our world and give character to our world. And there's other like the Bill Gates and the other guy, Facebook, the guy that built Facebook. I mean, who would have ever thought? Now, Facebook is just a great way to stay in contact with everybody, not just your family, but with everybody. You know, you got them at your fingertips now. You know, it's almost like an extra phone, so to speak, but it's an actual daily communication box.
It's
you know,
open,
you go to it.
accessible all the time.
Right. Think about it, if you just get like a big screen TV or something with a big screen monitor, and it's touch screen accessible, and you can just open it up and just touch your life each day. Talk to people, type in something that you see or see something that your cousin did last week. It's a way to stay in contact without having to travel, and you know, it limits that. It opens that door to Pandora's box of just communication, if anything.
Two more questions.
Sure.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general? And how did your service and experiences affect your life? So what was the impact the military had on your thinking about war? And how did your service experiences affect your life?
Well, if anything, I know that if we have to go to war, if we must, you gotta understand war is bad. You know, as far as the risk involved, it can go sour. You got to look at that fear factor and face it for what it is. You know, but it's needed, I guess, in certain areas where there's mutilation of human bodies like Rwanda. You got people that are slaying another tribe for whatever reason. It's not justified, of course, but someone has to stop that. So you have to send in some sort of troops or some sort of military action. So it's needed in certain areas. As far as my aspect, I'm thinking if it's needed, sometimes it is needed. For certain things like that, for certain things like genocide and whatnot. If that's going on, your cops can only do so much. You have to send in the military to do something. So I'm not going to knock the military. I'm not saying that we're a bunch of vigilantes going out destroying other countries. I'm not for that, as far as that negative thinking. But to provide peace and prosperity to a country, I'm for that. If that's what we're doing, we're providing peace, we're providing security, safety, and respect. Yeah, I'm for that. I'm for that all the way. 'Cause I would do that for my family.
Right.
So I'm for that. As far as the second portion, I think what was the second part of the question?
Yeah, the second part is how did your service and experience affect your life?
It affected my life as far as being knowledgeable, being firm, more than anything, researching. If I'm going to do something, I go with my gut, and I go with it 100%, 110%, and I give that extra input. I try to be a leader on the job. In every job that I've had since the military, I've always tried to be a leader. I've always tried to do something that's extraordinary about me. So it's always helped me. Military is I can tell you, it's like that fruit basket you can keep going to for blessings.
Right.
For blessings that you're not gonna forget about. Different trainings and whatnot. So the military gave me a lot of prepared training and understanding, and just a prepared way of thinking. I know that I can do it. If there's a challenge up ahead, I know that I can probably do it. I've been here before. I can refer back to the military. It would always be a second friend of mine. Be a best friend if anything. Military is always. I have a lot of respect for the military. So military has been a great tool, a great blessing in my life, and for my family's life. Because I'm going. You're talking a couple generations that have gone through the military and have been able to buy their homes, been able to raise the children off the military. And I saw my dad in the military. He was in the Air Force. He played sports. He played flag football for the military. He even played contact football for the military. He was an F-16 ejection seat mechanic. And I got to go out to his work site, see what he does. Man, my dad fixes this thing. He fixes the seat that goes up.
Right.
So it has been, what industry of. Well, not just the industry. It's just been just a great lifetime. I guess it's been a life. It's been a lifetime,
Right.
Because my dad was in the military. The rest of the family is in the military. So it's been a lifetime. It's been a great blessing as far as taking care of bills and being able to live a life and being able to have that guarantee that I can take care of this, even when you can't. The military has different options. You can apply for a loan or get some sort of emergency fund, and then the army has the emergency, or is it REA or AER loan in case you have ERA, unless you got problems, something like that. You got to pay rent, whatever. I never had that problem, but those options are there,
Right.
You get a signature loan from the bank that you're with because they have a partnership with the military. So it's a blessing, It's a blessing all over, And you can always trust that you'll be paid on the 1st and the 15th. Guaranteed. The check won't be late.
Okay.
you can always, guarantee
count on that, right?
You can count on that, And even when your bonus comes around and whatnot, that comes on time. You have that option that's right there for you. You have a company that is there for you, and I like that. I like that about the military. It was a great place to work.
Is there anything that you feel like you left out in the interview?
No, I probably rambled more than anything, but
You had a lot to say.
I haven't been on TV, camera in a while. It's been years since I've been interviewed for anything.
Right.
But no, I think I've covered it just by every inch of my military career.
Well, we want to thank you for taking the time to give us this interview.
Okay.
And you will be getting a copy. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson.